Hello and welcome to Idea TV Midday News. I am Cynthia Bassi. We begin with the headlines. UN demands safe passage for trapped civilians in war-torn Sudan city. Two-story building collapses in Lagos, many trapped. SEC warns as $50 billion crypto transactions bypass Nigeria's capital market. And farmers and federal government disagree over drop in food prices. And away from Africa, China accelerates military AI drive with DEEPSEEK-powered combat vehicles and domestic chip push. In health, NAPTIP rescues 26 children, busts child-selling orphanage syndicate. In business, CBN releases $1.25 billion for fuel imports despite local supply improvement. And in sport, OSIMHEN shines again as Nigerian stars dazzle across Europe. And now the news in full. The United Nations is calling for urgent safe passage for hundreds of thousands of civilians trapped in the Sudanese city of El Fasher. This follows claims by the Rapid Support Forces that they have seized the Sudanese army's main base in the city, the last major military foothold for government forces in the Darfur region. Intense fighting has continued with social media videos showing RSF fighters celebrating what they say is full control of the area. The UN says more than 250,000 people are surrounded and on the brink of starvation as escape routes have been blocked and essential supplies cut off. UN humanitarian chief Tom Fletcher expressed alarm over rising civilian casualties, warning that people are trapped and terrified, shelled, starving, and without access to food, healthcare, and safety. The United States is also pushing for a ceasefire to allow aid to reach those stranded. El Fasher has become one of the most dangerous battlegrounds in the Sudan civil war, which began in 2023 after a bitter power struggle between the RSF and the National Army. More than 150,000 people have been killed and about 12 million forced to flee their homes across the country. The RSF already controls most of Darfur and parts of Kordofan, and taking El Fasher would further shift the balance, signaling that the conflict is far from over. Moving on, a two-story building collapsed in the early hours of Monday in the Oyingbo area of Lagos, leaving several occupants trapped. The Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service confirmed that the structure, located at 54 Cole Street near Cemetery bus stop, had earlier shown signs of distress before caving in around 12:20 a.m. Emergency responders from the Sari-Gomu fire station were quickly deployed to the scene to rescue the trapped residents. So far, 15 people, including men, women, and children, have been pulled from the rubble with various injuries and taken to the Federal Medical Center in Ebute Metta and the General Hospital Odan on Lagos Island. Rescue operations are still ongoing as authorities work to locate more survivors. Incidents of building collapse remain a major concern in Lagos, often linked to poor regulation, substandard construction materials, and weak enforcement of safety standards. The city has also recorded several tragic collapses in recent years, including the Ikoyi high-rise disaster in 2021 and another structure that fell in Yaba in September this year. In other news, Nigeria's Securities and Exchange Commission has raised concerns over a massive surge in cryptocurrency activity across the country. The SEC Director General, Dr. Imomotimi Agama, revealed that more than $50 billion worth of crypto transactions flowed through Nigeria between July 2023 and June 2024, a trend he says signals growing investor distrust in traditional markets. Agama lamented that fewer than 4% of Nigerian adults invest in regulated securities, despite millions showing strong appetite for risks through unregulated crypto trading and gambling. He noted that the country's weak market capitalization, just 30% of GDP compared with South Africa's 320%, shows significant room for growth if more trust and transparency are built into the system. Reviewing the 2015 to 2025 Capital Markets Master Plan, the SEC boss said less than half of its key reforms have been completed. He called for stronger financial inclusion, more retail investor participation, and better alignment of the market with national development priorities, warning that without swift reforms, billions in potential investment will continue to bypass Nigeria's former financial system. In other news, farmers across Nigeria are raising concerns over the sharp drop in food prices, blaming it on what they describe as a surge in imported food items approved by the federal government. They said the development has left many of them unable to recover production costs, with some still holding large stocks from last season to avoid major losses. Market surveys shows that prices of staples such as rice, beans, sorghum, maize, millets, cassava flour, yam and garri have plunged by as much as 50% in parts of the country. But the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, insists that the price crash is due to increase local production driven by government incentives. He maintains that food imports approved earlier have not been yet released into the market and argues that hoarding by traders coupled with ongoing harvest has boosted supply and forces prices down. The government says it has distributed fertilizer and other inputs to support farmers and ease cost pressures. Meanwhile, farmers warn that soaring input costs, including fertilizer, herbicides, pesticides and labor, are making production unsustainable. Many say they have suffered huge financial losses and may be forced to abandon farming altogether if urgent interventions are not provided. They fear the trend would undermine national food security if more farmers quit the sector. We'll go on a quick break now. The news continues when we return.
(5G) technology. 5G technology promises to be a game changer by delivering ultra-fast internet speeds, low latency, and the ability to connect millions of devices seamlessly. It's going to fuel the future of smart cities, autonomous vehicles, and IoT devices, allowing them to communicate in real time. However, 5G rollout isn't without hurdles. High costs of infrastructure and regulatory issues in some regions have slowed down implementation.
The P-60, an autonomous combat support vehicle powered by DeepSeek technology. Introduced in February, the P-60 can operate at speed of up to 50 km per hour and is being hailed by Beijing as a major step in its efforts to narrow the technological gap with the United States. The move highlights the growing integration of AI into China's defense sector as both nations prepare their militaries for potential future conflicts. Recent reviews of patents, tenders and procurement records indicate a broad campaign by China's People's Liberation Army (PLA) to enhance battlefield intelligence, automation and decision-making through AI. These include systems for real-time target recognition, drone swarms and AI-assisted war simulations. The PLA's continued use of NVIDIA chips alongside the rapid shift toward domestic alternatives such as Huawei's Ascend processors underscores Beijing's strategy to achieve algorithmic sovereignty and reduce reliance on U.S. technology amid ongoing export restrictions. By 2025, Chinese military-linked entities had filed dozens of AI-related patents, many leveraging DeepSeek models for surveillance, planning and autonomous operations. Universities and defense firms are also developing AI-driven reconnaissance tools and target detection systems capable of processing massive amounts of battlefield data in seconds. As China increases its investment in self-reliant AI and robotics, global defense analysts warn that these advancements could reshape the balance of power in future warfare, mirroring similar U.S. initiatives to deploy autonomous systems on a large scale. In health, operatives of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons have rescued 26 trafficked children from an orphanage in Benue State. 4 operators of the facility were arrested for allegedly selling children for between 1 million and 3 million naira under the guise of adoption. The suspects include a 60-year-old orphanage owner and leader of a child rights organization accused of facilitating illegal child sales across several states. According to NAPTIP's National Press Officer Vincent Adekoye, more than 300 children are believed to have been trafficked by the syndicate, with 274 still unaccounted for. Some of the rescued children were reportedly kept in orphanages in Abuja and Nasarawa, which investigators say served as holding centers pending illegal adoption. A complainant told officials he was charged over 2.8 million naira as adoption and consultancy fees. The Director General of NAPTIP, Binta Bello, condemned the illegal trade, describing it as a national crisis. She warned that perpetrators would face the full weight of the law and stressed that resumed between August 2024 and early October 2025. A breakdown of the CBN's Forex release reveals that $457.83 million was issued in January, dropping to $283.54 million in February before rising again to $517.55 million in March. During the same period, import volumes totaled 2.28 billion liters, one of the lowest quarterly figures in recent years, a sign of gradual transition towards local refining. However, experts say fuel imports continue to strain Nigeria's foreign reserves and weaken the naira. Competition between the Dangote refinery and fuel importers is intensifying as marketers choose suppliers based on pricing advantages. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria confirms that operators will always opt for cheaper fuel to protect thin profit margins. Meanwhile, the latest industry data indicate a decline in the import parity price of petrol, driven by fluctuating global oil prices and exchange rates. And now lastly in sports news, it was another standout weekend for Nigerian footballers abroad, with Victor OSIMHEN leading the headlines. The Galatasaray forward scored a brilliant solo goal in their 3-1 comeback win over Göztepe, taking his tally to 6 goals across all competitions this season. The Turkish champions stay 6 points clear at the top, and OSIMHEN's confident form keeps their title defense strong as they prepare for a big clash against Trabzonspor. In Italy, Gift Orban was on target for Hellas Verona in their 2-2 draw with Cagliari, showing sharp composure for his second Serie A goal of the campaign. Over in France, teenage attacker Prosper Peter opened scoring in Angers' 2-0 victory before being forced off with injury, but his rising potential continues to excite. In England's League 2, Daniel Udo also struck again as Salford City defeated Gillingham 2-1, lifting them to within a point of the summit. Other Nigerians also delivered late contributions across Europe. Anayo Iwala scored in Kuwait as Al-Arabi fought back to end a draw, while Paul Mokairu netted an 87th minute winner in Poland to maintain his super sub reputation. In Sweden, Samuel Namani grabbed a brace for Nordic United, and Prosper Oba stayed hot in Ukraine with his third goal in 3 games as LNZ Cherkasy continued pushing for a historic title charge. And that's all we have for you on Idea TV Midday News. But before we go, here's a recap of the headlines. We brought you news that UN demands safe passage for trapped civilians in war-torn Sudan city. 2-story building collapses in Lagos, many trapped. SEC warns as $50 billion crypto transactions bypass Nigeria's capital market. Farmers and federal government disagree over drop in food prices. And away from Africa, China accelerates military AI drive with DEEPSEEK-powered combat vehicles and domestic chip push. In health, NAPTIP rescues 26 children, busts child selling orphanage syndicate. And in business, CBN releases $1.25 billion for fuel imports despite local supply improvement.